Morning, everyone. Today I'm going to make a different type of cobbler. I have a whole bunch of apples from my 2 apple trees that my son planted. There are Fuji's and Granny Smith. So they're not real large, a few of them were, but I don't want to waste them. So I'm going to make a different type of apple cobbler. I've made an apple pie and an apple cobbler already previously. But today I'm going to make a different kind, and it's called a sugar crusted apple cobbler, and it's a very simple one. Most cobblers are real easy. So this one's different, and it looks really delicious. So this will be the first time I try it, so I hope you enjoy this. So these are all the ingredients you're going to need. It's going to be about 6 cups of apples. So it could be anywhere from 4 medium to a couple of large apples, 3 or 4. We're going to use flour, cinnamon, vanilla, baking powder and baking soda, sugar. We're going to use salted butter because it does call for a pinch of salt, and then it calls for unsalted butter. But instead of using salt, I'm going to use salted butter. And then it calls for apple cider, a couple of tablespoons, but you can substitute lemon juice, which is what I'm doing. And then we're going to need either yogurt or buttermilk, and I'm going to make my own buttermilk with some milk. So these are the ingredients, and all the exact measurements will be in the description. So you can either use a potato peeler, or you can just use a paring knife. Now, all these years I've used a paring knife because that's what my mom used whenever she made apple pies. So I'm going to peel 6 cups of apples, and I'll be right back. So I'm not sure how many cups this is. I'm going to slice them. The recipe says to slice them like a 1/4 of an inch thick, so they're supposed to be pretty thin. So I'm going to slice all these apples a 1/4 of an inch thin. So they are pretty thin how they want them on this recipe. Okay, this is about 6 cups of apples. So now we're going to put them in a bowl and toss them with cinnamon and the boiled cider or lemon juice. Yeah, so that's 6 cups. So the recipe says you can either use 2 tablespoons of boiled cider, or you can substitute it with lemon juice, and I'm doing that. I'm substituting it with lemon juice. And then it says to use a teaspoon of cinnamon. So you're supposed to toss all of this together. And then after you toss it together, you're going to put it in your pan, in a greased pan. And it says lightly greased. So going to press all these apples down, and I will show you the next step. And your oven should be preheated at 350 degrees. Okay, next what you're going to do is you're going to take 1/2 cup of sugar. The recipe calls for a cup, but you're going to use 1/2 of it, and then you're going to mix it in a mixer or with a stand mixer. You're going to mix it with beaters until the butter and the sugar are completely combined. Okay, after your sugar and butter are smooth, you're going to add your dry ingredients, and you're going to add your buttermilk, and you're going to mix everything together until it's smooth. Then you want to add your teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, here's our batter, and it will be thick, just like this, but it is creamy and smooth. So now what you want to do is you want to spread this over the top of your apples with a spatula. So what I'm going to do is kind of drop it in different areas first, and then I'm going to use my spatula and smooth it all over. I have a smaller one. We're just going to spread this all smoothly as we can over the top of all the apples. You can kind of push some of them down as you're putting it on top. Okay, so as soon as we're completely finished with this topping, we're going to sprinkle the other half of our white granulated sugar on top, and that's why it's called a crusted sugar apple cobbler, because the sugar is going to kind of be the star of the show from a normal cobbler. Because most cobblers, I haven't used sugar on the top. I mean, there's so many different types of cobblers. So anyway, that's pretty good. So I'm going to take the other half a cup of sugar and kind of just sprinkle it all over the top. And then we have 1 to 2 teaspoons or tablespoons, I can't remember, I'll have to look, of water that we're going to sprinkle over the sugar. And the idea is to wet the sugar. That will give it the crusty look. The crusty crust and the appearance of it both. So there's all, I'm not going to put all the sugar, that's quite a bit. So it's supposed to get all of it wet, so I'm going to use the full 2 tablespoons of water. It said 1 to 2 tablespoons, and I think I'm going to use all of it, because in order to get all the sugar wet, I'm going to have to use all 2 tablespoons. Okay, so now I'm going to just put this in a 350-degree oven for between 35 and 40 minutes. And we're going to place it on a baking sheet in case anything bubbles over. It can bubble over on the sheet. There it goes. 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, here is our beautiful cobbler. And as you can see, it's got that sugar crust topping. It looks so good. And it baked for exactly 40 minutes at 350 degrees. And now you need to cool it for about 30 minutes. So I will be back in about a half an hour and we'll do our taste test. Hey, I'm kind of cheating. It's been probably about 20 minutes instead of 30. But I'm going to slice up a piece now and give it a taste. And that looked really good, doesn't it? Okay, it got really hot here where I live. It's still not cold yet. So anyway, this turned out really good. And I'm going to taste it now. So let's give it a taste. My whole kitchen smells like apple cinnamon, so it smells good. Really tastes just like the apples in an apple pie, and this little crust. I'm gonna try it. Really delicious. It's just a new way of making a cobbler with the crusted sugar. And you can use other fruits too. This just happens to be the one I chose. And this is from King Arthur Flour Company. That's where I got this recipe from. So it's a really good dessert to make if you have a lot of apples. So thank you so much for watching.